Hi, and welcome back to the book of Exodus and the land of Goshen. This week we're learning about the land of Goshen, the plagues, the Egypt, and how God revealed his name to Moses, Israelites, and even Egyptians. How he revealed himself, more just Almighty God, but God who is the Lord, who is personal, who is, who was, who is to come. The Lord who hears his people when they cry out. The Lord who not only answers prayer, but answers prayers that are prayed for tomorrow. God who is precise, God who cares, God who is personal, and God who wants all to be saved, including Egyptian king, Pharaoh, including its people. God continues to repeat again and again that all of this is happening so that Pharaoh's heart would turn to him. So today we pick up the next triad of events, plagues, and they are hail, locust, and darkness. These are the events that lead to the 10th plague, which I'm sure all of you know, the death of a firstborn. So what is the significance and what is the Lord trying to communicate and achieve for the next triad of plagues? As with every triad, we see that it begins in the same way, where the Lord calls Moses and says, Moses, rise up early in the morning and present yourself to Pharaoh and say these words to him. So we see once again that Moses presents himself to Pharaoh, and this time he once again gives a warning that there's hail coming. The hail of such capacity that has never been seen before in Egypt. Fire and ice will come together. Now you have to understand that just like with Greek mythology and Greek gods, so it was with Egyptian gods. They were people that worshipped gods of order. Each season and each element had its own god. Rain had its own god. Strength had its god. Sun, they had a Ra, a sun god. They had all, ice had, and none of the gods worked together. Many gods in their culture, in the Egyptian culture, they were fighting with each other. And here comes Moses and says, Pharaoh, fire and ice, two different elements, will fall upon your nation. It's gonna be hail and thunder and storms like never been seen before. It will destroy everything that is outside. Whatever is remaining of your livestock, whatever is remaining of your seeds and harvest and plants, whatever is remaining even of your people, there is a plague that's coming that will kill all of that. And God says to Pharaoh, I'm giving you a warning tomorrow. Once again, this is coming tomorrow. And God shows amazing grace. He actually gives instructions. If you read this story in Exodus chapter 9, you can see that God gives instructions, a warning, and shows grace to the Egyptians and says, if you want no harm to be done, make sure that your servants and your livestock, your animals and your loved ones are inside the house when the hail hits tomorrow. And we see that some people and some servants and some God-fearing Egyptians listen, but some do not. But I love what it says in Exodus 9:14. It says that so that you may know that there is no one like me in all the earth. But for this purpose I have raised you, Pharaoh, up to show you my power, so that my name, this is God speaking, that my name, the Lord, may be proclaimed in all the earth. God raised Pharaoh for such a time as this, so that he would come to an end of himself and declare Lord over the Egypt. Just imagine if that was what was happening. If Pharaoh would have turned his heart and became the worshipper of Yahweh, the Lord, all of Egypt would know that there's a Lord who is the King of all. But of course, as we know, Pharaoh says that he's not going to do such a things, and then animals and plants and people lose their life. And it says in verse 26, only in the land of Goshen, where the people of Israel were, there was no hail. I'm reading this story and it makes me giggle because when we lived in our previous house, every time in hail, there would be no hail around my house. And I remember having a conversation with a friend, and she said, did you experience the hail and the rain that came today? And I said, it doesn't hail at my house. It doesn't hail at my house. I've made the declaration because it was the reality. It never hailed in our house. I could do my washing and it'll be hailing everywhere, but there'll be sun shining. And we were giggling with my friend. I said, I don't know why, but it doesn't hail at my house. I feel like that's how people of Israel felt. It did not hail in the land of Goshen. They had peace, they had sun, they had beautiful weather, while it was storming, hailing, and death entering the Egyptian land. What a sad story, once again. When leaders don't do the right thing, the people suffer. If Pharaoh did the right thing, if he repented and relented, God would have spared him, but he didn't do these things. He said to Moses that he will let the people go, but then he changed his mind again. And of course, we see the next plague hit, and that is locust. Now, when locust starts, when God speaks to Moses about locusts, you can read that in Exodus chapter 10. There's a conversation that the Lord has with Moses, a longer conversation, and he says, Moses, what's happening here, it's not just for Egyptians, it's not just for Pharaoh, but it's actually for you as well. I want you to remember these events and tell them to generations to come. This is for you as well, Moses. This is for your people as well, so that Israel would know that they have a God who listens when they cry, that they have a God who performs mighty miracles and signs. They have a God who is a defender and protector of his people. The next miracle and the miracles to come are not just for Egypt, they are for you as well. And after Moses has this conversation with the Lord, he goes back to Pharaoh and gives him another warning and says that locust is coming, and it once again will destroy anything and everything that is left in the land. So Moses goes up and says, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? He speaks on behalf of the Lord. And I was thinking actually the cost that Moses, the price that Moses paid to stand before Pharaoh. To stand before Pharaoh, he actually gave everything he had. He gave up his children, he gave up his wife, he even put his reputation, everything that he had on the line, to stand before Pharaoh and speak to him the words that he spoke. He was so intimate with the Lord that he completely laid his life down so he could have an audience with Pharaoh, because he knew that God spoke to him and God called him even when he argued and said, send somebody else. When he surrendered to the Lord and says, okay, God, I will go, it was a final surrender. He was ready to stand before Pharaoh, even if it cost his life. And Lord did a mighty, mighty miracles through the hands of Moses and Aaron. And we see again that in here, even Moses is now challenged. Pharaoh now gives him a compromise. Something that maybe Moses will say yes to. He says, you know what, Moses? I believe your God is powerful. I believe your God is precise. I believe your God is not like my gods. Your God defeated my God of thunder, my God of ice, my God of sun. Your God is not like any gods that I serve. So I'll let you go and worship him. But I want you to leave your women and your children behind. The men can go, but not your family. Basically, Pharaoh was saying, you can go, but I will hold your family hostage. You can go, but leave your family behind. How about that? The devil will always come to compromise and present us ideas that we know in the depths of our heart, we know that's not what God has called us to do. That's not what God spoke. And yet Pharaoh is testing now Moses and says, you know what, Moses, you can go. The men can go and worship their God, but not the children and not the wives. And of course, Moses says, no way. No way, Jose. No way, Pharaoh. That's not what God said to me. He said, all of us need to go worship him. So Pharaoh gets so mad that he gets Moses kicked out of his palace because he can't stand Moses not submitting to his compromising position. And of course, we see that the locust sweeps through the land of Egypt. But once again, the land of Goshen is untouched. Those people of God that live in Goshen are untouched. And locust comes and sweeps through the land of Egypt. Pharaoh once again repents. He acknowledges that he sinned. Moses prays and the Lord takes the locust away. Can you see the cycle? Sin makes you fall into that repetition where you compromise and you do it again. You stubbornly refuse to hear God and you do it again. And Pharaoh was in that position, and God yet kept trying and trying and trying. And now darkness, the next plague, darkness. Once again, God speaks to Moses and he says to him, stretch out your hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, and darkness to be felt. Imagine the darkness that can be felt, that you can touch. So Moses stretched out his hand towards heaven, and there was pitch darkness in the land of Egypt for 3 days. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days. But, here comes the but again, but, guess where was the light? But all the people of Israel had light where they lived. Where they lived, there was light. Some Jewish commentaries actually says that people of God had a vision. They had light in their eyes. So even if they entered the land of Egypt out of Goshen, they could still see. They could still see. But for 3 days, it says the people in Egypt could not leave their houses. There was such darkness that they couldn't see where they're going. They couldn't see their furniture. They couldn't see what they were eating. They couldn't see anything. And you know what? What a perfect opportunity for Israelites to escape. What a perfect opportunity to rebel against Egypt and say, you know what, forget it. We don't need Egypt's permission. We're just going to pack up and go. We have light with us. We can see in the darkness. So let's just pack up and let's run for it. Darkness for 3 days, they could have made it. But they did not compromise. God said that he will deliver them out of Egypt with a mighty hand. So they were not going to run. They were not going to hide. They're going to do and follow through what God has done. So once again we see that Moses says to Pharaoh, let my people go. And Pharaoh says, okay, get out of here. You can go. Your children can go. Your wives can go. But compromise number 2. Compromise number 3 now. Leave your livestock. Leave your animals behind. And Moses says, we can't leave our animals behind. How are we going to serve the Lord? Our sacrifices involve sacrificing the animals. That's how they did it. And Moses doesn't take the bait. He says, no, Pharaoh, you have to let us all go. Me, my men, our wives, our children, and our animals. That's what God asked us to do. We're not compromising. We're not running. I'm here to tell you my God is almighty and I'm not afraid. And of course, Pharaoh says, get out of my sight or I'm going to kill you. So Moses leaves Pharaoh's sight and never to come back again, because the next plague is going to be done to the Egyptians without even warning, without too much chit-chat. it'll be another sign that the gods of Egyptians have been defeated, and there's only one Lord whose hand is mighty to save and mighty to deliver his people. So what have we learned today? I've been on purpose in this study, not drawing out too many conclusions, because I want you to read it, I want you to learn, and I want you to draw your own conclusions. But one thing I certainly have learned, that is, do not compromise. Then times are tough and you have option A, B, and C. Don't compromise. Stick to what the Lord has said. Do not be afraid. Do not be intimidated, but trust in the Lord who spoke the life-giving words in you. Stand on the promises and see the deliverance of the Lord. So I hope you're learning and growing, and tomorrow we're going to look at the last plague and how God was revealed and how he delivered his nation out of Egypt and out of the land of Goshen. New season is going to begin for Israelites tomorrow. They will leave the land of Goshen where they grew, where they multiplied, where the protection of the Lord was on them, and now something new that the Lord is going to do. So I'll see you then. Bless you. Bye.